Welcome to FLO Hyderabad's newest series, Game Changers, in which we will all get to hear the amazing stories of those who dare to dream and tread in the direction of that dream, however difficult the path leading up to it. Our guest today is the lady who laughs, lives, and blooms through flowers. This afternoon, Chairperson Usharani Manne will help us tiptoe through Rekha Reddy's delicate and beautiful world. A gentle reminder to all our viewers in the Zoom room to turn off your video and mute your audio feed for a better viewer experience. This afternoon's conversation will be followed by a live demonstration. So please leave your questions for either of the sessions in the chat box. We will be taking them up post the demonstration. We seem to be experiencing slight bandwidth issues today, but please bear with us for a few minutes. In case that happens, we will be back. I will now request Usharani Manne to light the ceremonial lamp and then take us through our guest's fragrant and successful cultural journey. Usha?
Namaste and welcome Rekha Reddy, past chairpersons, friends at FLO, and all our viewers. This afternoon marks the beginning of our new series of motivational talks. Game Changers. Social, scientific, business, and professional history is full of instances of people who are willing to risk it all to pursue their dream, stand up for what they believe, or go above and beyond to help another. These are the people who dare to swim in the other direction. These are the game changers that we look forward to bringing to you in this exclusive series. When the idea occurred to us, we didn't have to look far. Each of our past chairs is an achiever in her own right. Spanning the business and professional spectrum, their varied and often unique skill sets have made them trailblazers. So, once a month, starting today, we will hear from each of these wonderful ladies, her story in her own words, which I hope will inspire us to do amazing things from where we are right now. Our first game changer is past chair Rekha Reddy. I was barely a year old in FLO when Rekha took over as chairperson in 2012. Vani Subhash, our another senior past chairperson, called me one early morning and asked if I would take up the post of treasurer for Rekha. I was quite excited, no doubt, but there was one hitch. I had never had a personal interaction with Rekha until then, not even an introduction. So I was really surprised that she thought I could be trusted with such a huge responsibility based on someone else's assessment of my capabilities. In that 1 year, Rekha taught me and all others on the committee several things by just being herself. Full of genuine warmth, ready to give and share credit, trusting, confident. She set one example after another, especially her value system and the way she uncompromisingly upholds all that FLO stands for, have ingrained a deep sense of respect in me for the organization and for this position of chairperson in particular. One never stops learning, and I learned this by watching her closely. I distinctly remember her year-end video for FLO and a coffee table book that she brought out on Ikebana. Both were so comprehensive and so beautifully presented that I followed suit and got them created for my own company. It made me realize the importance of good branding and how it helps organizations be perceived more professionally. So, knowingly or unknowingly, there's so much one can pick up from organizations like FLO and from those who lead them. I only recently became Rekha's student and have seen how strict she can be as a teacher. Always with a ready smile, she's a taskmaster too and highly organized. At the same time, she has all the patience in the world and the grace to let her students express themselves and experiment. In all these years, never once have I seen her lose her cool. I feel so proud and privileged to be talking to you, Rekha, on this platform today. Shall we start
Thank you
then?
so much, Usha. Sure, sure.
As an Ikebana practitioner, what you create is nothing short of art. Having spent several years pursuing this beautiful art form, please tell us, what role does an artist play in this society? For that matter, how does art and Ikebana in particular contribute to our growth and mental well-being?
First, thank you so much, Usha, for the very, very kind introduction. I think you've been too kind. It's just such a pleasure to hear what all you said. I didn't realize I made that much of a difference to you. I am happy, and I still feel I don't deserve that much of praise. But thank you so much for your kind words. Coming to art, when we talk about art, we always associate art with culture. So if you always notice, art and culture go in hand in departments. So art is part of culture, leads to culture. And culture is what defines a population, a whole mass of people, a city or a country. You know, we say some maybe countries or some sects of the population are very cultured. So all this stems from art. And art does not necessarily mean Ikebana or only painting. It can be cooking. It can be anything. We were talking about art as a whole. So it does have a major role to play in society. Because what the artist does also, they create things of beauty, I agree, but they are influenced by things that happen around them. You know, they could be good things, bad things, something to learn from, something they're expressing. Without realizing, those who are visualizing it, I think, get influenced by that. So the artist has in their hands to positively influence so many people. And not only adults, I'm talking even about children. So if you see children also, when you expose them to art in an early age, how it does so well for them. So I feel when a society is more artistic and more open to these things, the population also tends to be a little more refined in the sense of, I'm not talking about style refined in their senses, in their sensibilities. And when they practice an art form, they're so much more calmer. The most important thing I've noticed myself by doing Ikebana over the years, it just calms you down as a person. So this is where even being calm in the mind, being steady in the head, your mental health, all this counts. Sometimes I have students who come, I have children who come who are parents send them because maybe they're attention deficit, or they have some issues at school or anger issues. They come to class and they are there. I don't strictly teach them Ikebana, but just sitting there, letting them handle flowers and leaves and talking about nature, it gives them a kind of a softening of their outlook on things. So people's outlook on things change when they're exposed to art, what you see. So you can influence, it's unimaginable how much of an influence it can have on people's thinking. And when people's thinking changes, especially for the good, and how much good it'll do to society. So like you said, I mean, I have my bouts of losing my temper. I feel I'm a calmer person. Those happen, it's natural. But it just teaches you a sense of calm because you're working a lot with nature. So automatically that kind of comes in. It also sometimes I feel it leads to some path of self-awareness, when you're working at art forms. Suppose somebody's painting, you see them painting, you don't even you want to tiptoe behind them because they're so immersed in their art. It's a form of meditation. Art is a form of meditation. So it will calm the mind of like so many people. And it's something when you have an exhibition or when you have a program, an art program, so many people come together. And the vibes in the entire room are usually different when it's this kind of people. So, you'll be getting people together for a nice reason. So that way it makes a difference in so many ways. I mean, the list is endless, but it's all steady. It's not like a one time. You won't see it in like 6 months or 1 year. It's a slow process. It's like osmosis. You slowly absorb, from around you. And people who grew up in an artistic family, I do so much of art. So my family sometimes claims all artists are a little, strange in their own way. So maybe I'm strange in my own way, but it's at least it's not harming anybody. It's a quieter and a nicer way of doing it.
Very well said, Rekha. Indeed, arts and culture brighten our lives and enrich our emotional world. I also believe that art is a highly important pillar of innovation because it is creative minds that come up with path-breaking ideas. And studies have shown that practicing an art form has a positive impact on people dealing with anxiety, depression, and even physical pain. Yeah. So that brings me to a question that has always nagged me about Ikebana. Most art, be it a sculpture or painting or dance or music, they live on. Not Ikebana though, in the sense that the life of the arrangement is really short. How does that make a practitioner feel?
What you said is true, Usha. Of course, if you think of a sculpture, metal sculpture will stay probably for centuries, it will stay forever. Ikebana is transient. But here, there's another concept which I thought I had in my slides, actually called Ichigo. It's being in the moment. Okay, because every moment is fleeting. It never comes back again. So when you talk about leaves and flowers, they're also transient. They're in the plant maybe for a week. The flower may be there for a week, or a branch may be fresh for maybe like 5 days. So when you cut a leaf or a flower or a branch and you arrange it in your container, you treat it with respect, you clean it, talk to it, use it in your arrangement to last almost as long. If it stays on the plant for maybe 6 days, it should stay in your vase for at least 5 days. That's the best. We never waste material. Plants need to be trimmed in a garden. So sometimes, most of the time, we used garden material, trim roadside material, dry twigs, dry flowers, and you recreate nature in your container. Not everybody has access to greenery or seeing it constantly. So you have to travel nowadays in the cities. You have to travel far and wide to see a patch of green. That reminds me of our rains we had the last few days. It was so beautiful to go out. Everything is washed and clean, and you just breathe so well. Of course, after 6 days or 7 days of continuous rain, I wanted a dry spell because nothing was drying in the house and we had damp walls. But you must remember that things are impermanent also. We have this concept of wabi-sabi, so there's impermanence. So you're bringing nature indoors for more people to see, enjoy. You're recreating nature in your container. You're treating it with respect. You're making it live almost as long in your vase. So then it's, then your process of thinking will change. That question has come to me earlier, like bonsai, for example. Some people said, you're taking a plant, but you're stunting it. You're not letting it grow normally. So which is a way of thinking. It's nothing is wrong or right. It's in what you perceive and how you perceive it that way. Like suppose I'm making a salad. So I'm cutting off the leaves from the plant and I'm making a salad and consuming it. Okay, it's for consumption, but then I've taken them off the plant. It has some use and it has a good use and they'll grow again. So we must always remember, that's a good point, that you must treat nature with respect and try to use things that will need trimming, which are overgrown. We encourage the use of dry twigs, dry sticks also, and you use them in the container. So it's a different way, and the process of creating the flower arrangement also gives you a lot of calm. It becomes a meditative process. So all these are advantages of doing it, even though it's transient and impermanent. We also realize life is like that, it's impermanent. And we show in the same thing, a fresh leaf, we show a dry leaf to show the cycle of life. So you must cut me off at a point, otherwise I'll keep on and on and on now. So that's a little brief of what I think about doing the arrangements. I hope that answers your question, Usha.
Yeah, I'm really very grateful to you, Rekha, for accepting me as your student. Practicing next to you has really made me realize that the joy is in the moment. The joy is the time that we spend creating a piece of art. This is such a valuable lesson in detachment for all of us.
Thank you, Usha.
Yeah. And
Thank you so much.
my next question to you is, we all know that you are a first master of the Ohara School of Ikebana. What we don't know is what made you to take up this particular art in spite of having a master's degree in food and nutrition and 2 gold medals too.
Yes, this question actually has two answers. One is a polite answer and one is the actual truth. So which one do you want?
I want to.
Okay, done. I'll give you the actual truth. This is censored and only between those who are watching. No, no, it's not that bad, but there is a bit of something behind it. So, see, I did my master's in nutrition, and growing up in a doctor's family, father automatically thought, okay, another doctor in the family. That was it. But my sister was studying to be a doctor already, and then so I said, okay, that's enough. And I joined College of Home Science because a whole bunch of girls were joining in. So I joined, and it was just fun. What I was going to do later in life was all secondary. I never thought about it at that point of time. So it was so good. And then I did my master's in nutrition. I was enjoying that, and I thought I must, do something in that field. Simultaneously, I was watching my mother do Ikebana since I was a baby. So they had gone in 1959. My mother and father to Japan was born because my father was training in pediatrics sometime in the US and Canada. So they stopped in Japan. She fell in love with Ikebana. She's been doing Ikebana. So I have photographs of me when I was about 6 months old, sitting next to an arrangement. But at that point, I believe I was pulling them all apart. Only now I'm putting them back together. So it's kind of, I've been seeing it almost every single day of my life growing up. So I probably absorbed it without realizing it, because I was busy only with the study part of it and, that part of it. So then from a doctor, then I thought I'll become a nutritionist. I wanted to go to FAO in Rome and present papers on malnourishment. I had all this thing on. I had my PhD seat. In between, I would love to read all this mystery novels set in the Cold War time and spies and, the spy movies, and Georgette Heyer were romantic spies. I thought maybe I should become a spy for India and then help India in some way, all kinds of things. Eventually, it came down to doing my nutrition. I was presenting papers, I'd applied to do my master's in the US, and I was about 20 or 21, and suddenly my father passed away very early. Then life, the game changes. The whole game changes in life. Then you realize you have actually nothing in your control. Till then, everything seemed to be going fine, and then you realize nothing is in your control. So things took a different path. Better or worse, it depends on how you view it, but it was just different. Then the process and the will to make it a good path was in my hands. So it took a while. It was a very difficult route because it was something so new and not planned. It was difficult, but you either would have to let the muddy road pull you down into the mud, or you come up and take a firmer path, which luckily, when I had the courage to, and with the support, family support and God, it came on to a better path. So I had to get married. The Indian tradition, if your father passes away within a year, you have to get the daughter married, you get married. Families are different. They have different, values, different things. So you adjust to a family. I had a baby immediately. All this happened. And my PhD seat, which I had, didn't really come about because it was difficult to leave a child and go home. I started doing Ikebana a little bit at home for entertaining myself. And I told my mother, can you teach me some Ikebana? So she said, I'll teach you, but you go to a teacher. It's always better. And I went to my teacher, Mrs. Meena Narayan. I used to go once a week, twice a week and start learning. I realized I liked it. And I seemed to have had an aptitude or a flair for it. I just enjoyed it. It was so calming. It took away all the stress if I had any, that I couldn't do my PhD, or I didn't have this, or I couldn't go out, nothing. Because it was so calming. It was like an hour of meditation where everything else you can handle the day better. And as it got on the next level, I started teaching, started enjoying it so much. I still used to go for Ikebana for nutrition conferences, and my professors would look at me and say, you're teaching flower arrangement? Why would anybody normal do flower arrangement? They just won't understand, You had your gold medals, I had my papers, I had my PhD seat, but life has different things in store. So you can be a game changer, or if the game changes, you make best use of that game. So that's, I think, Sometimes to class, I have young girls come in and they're newly married or they have issues and they're so upset. And this is the only place they can let out steam. They're going to tell me about either the family or friends or work stress. So you're at a phase where you can advise them and tell them we all go through these things, but how you come out of it is more important, and how you should be resilient. So it really happened in a very strange way, but I'm glad it happened. It's so strange. I used to dream of presenting papers in Rome at the Food and Agriculture Organization. I had my papers set in different countries, do this. I had all these grandiose plans. That didn't happen, but the same thing is happening with Ikebana, and even more. Invites from other places, other countries. Can you show Ikebana? Can you do that? It just happened. It's just, sometimes it's luck also. But how sometimes you will something to happen, it will happen maybe in a different way. It might be a struggle. It might not happen in a year. It might take 10 years. But it happened. Very strange, from nutrition to that. So for years, I used to, write articles on nutrition to keep in touch. So not that I practice any nutrition. I eat anything sweet, which I'm not supposed to. But so that's how the journey happened.
So finally, marriage gave us a master.
Sort of, yes. I think that did it. Otherwise, I would have been teaching nutrition somewhere.
And of course, your deep love for nature. Your choice must have seemed off the mainstream for many, but it is great that to know that your family encouraged your pursuit, Rekha.
Thank you, Isha. I know being with nature also. We used to always go for drives, and when we traveled in every holiday, my father used to drive us in the car to all the villages in Andhra. So wherever we went to drive, so you stop 1,000 picnics sitting under tamarind trees. You just grow up that way. So I think all those help.
Yeah. And of course, it is there in your DNA also, because your mother. Yeah. On a lighter note, what is your most favorite arrangement so far and why?
Arrangements, that is difficult, because every day I create one that becomes my favorite. Because you're just creating. Sometimes you start with something, I don't even know where it's going to end. Sometimes it goes on. So the principles of art take over: depth, rhythm, harmony, something dry, something fresh. So there have been many favorites, but maybe as a theme, as a whole, some time ago I had done one with books, Ikebana and books, that I liked one or two where I did, and Gone with the Wind, and we had some wind-blown branches, and that came out well. And not recently, a couple of years ago, during Navaratri time, I had done the 9 arrangements depicting the 9 days, large arrangements, and we had a group of young girls singing bhajans, or the song of the day, simultaneously as the arrangement was going on. And I don't know what it was, divine intervention or whatever, but I was very satisfied, and I felt it came out well, with the music there and the arrangement depicting one day of the festival. So I think that was one of the good ones. Yeah.
That was amazing, Rekha. I was there on that day.
You were there on the day.
Yes, I was there.
There's so many ways. Sometimes some local demonstration. Now that was for Ikebana International, one for O'Hara. I did an arrangement about 6 inches in a 6-inch container, a miniature landscape. It's just completely a landscape view that you see, but in miniature. So that was, you can just sit at them and look for so long, and you'll never get tired looking at a microcosm of nature.
I know the art form is so much about balance and harmony.
Yes.
Both and space and dimension and rules and breaking rules.
Yes, too. Very important. Breaking the rules also sometimes, yeah.
And there's so much we can learn about life from it. We would like to know, you have authored many articles and brought out so many publications on Ikebana. What was the motivation behind it?
One thing is just I've been fond of writing from an early age. Voracious family of voracious readers, something from my grandfather and everybody, parents, a lot of people who read in the entire extended family. In fact, when I was young, I used to read, and at one point when I was 14 or 15, Mills and Bones took over. And my grandfather was most disgusted, he'd treat me like a little worm. He says, we have such beautiful texts in Telugu, or what we have, our texts. Then you have English texts, like you have the Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, Charles Dickens. why do you read this trash instead? And for at that point of time, that trash was most interesting for me. Maybe not now, but it was then. So, but the reading habit was there, and I like to. Occasionally, I used to write also. So when after I got married, I told you I had a lot of free time. I wasn't working or studying. At that point, I started writing just to keep myself occupied. And I used to choose just magazines, take the editorial column of different magazines, and write an article and shoot it off to them saying, "This is an article I wrote. If you'd like to publish it, you're welcome." So slowly they started taking articles of nutrition, gardening, nature, Ikebana. So that got my interest. Slowly, when I did my first book with Ikebana and paintings, and it turned out well, and it was an exhibition and then a book, and it got such good response. Following that, I decided to have a whole group. I edited one for the Ikebana International chapter and later a diary. And I thought when you put people in together, I realized it's nice because it's giving the same excitement to so many more people. They're all part of the book. Like the last book we had with Ikebana and Saris, there are 55 of us. Actually, there are 55 authors. Everybody has equal say in the book. They learn so much about the books, about photography, about culture. So each of the books, we take one aspect of Indian culture and combine it with the Ikebana. So that way, you're also showcasing your culture, you're showing Japanese culture, you're integrating cultures, you're creating an understanding of each other's cultures, which is so necessary in today's world. So people learn from it. They learn about flowers, they learn about local flowers, about flower arrangement from Japan. They learn about our saris. So it's such a nice thing to do, and more people can be involved, more people learn, and you're spreading your culture so much more. We're ambassadors of our country and our culture also. So it just gives a good feeling. In fact, we're working on another book too, which is delayed a few months, but this time it will be with Ikebana with Indian recipes. So there's no end. Ideas will just keep pouring out. So we just have to take it slow and steady. So it's been nice to spread the chance for everyone to be in it.
Actually, when artists share their space without hesitation, I think that's where their true success lies, Rekha. And thank you for giving me, so many of us, the opportunity to feature in your books. It is such an encouraging and selfless gesture on your part. Believe me, not many can be accommodating as you, especially artists.
So I think when you see the book, it's fun. When you think of the end product, the artist also will do it. It's changing now.
Yeah, my next question to you is, I know you have traveled widely across the world, both for your work and otherwise too. Can you recount a few interesting experiences and also name a global artist you are really impressed with and why?
Yeah, with travel, yes, it's been very interesting.
It could be from any field.
Okay, done. Any field, okay. But I'll do Ikebana field, then I'll think of other fields. Okay. So travel has been interesting. I love traveling, of course. Most of us love traveling. But traveling with Ikebana has been extremely interesting because you meet people from different countries, different cultures, different religions, all brought together with this common love for nature and for the Japanese art of Ikebana. So in some of the places where I've gone, it's been a lovely experience. Like, for example, I think when I went to Kamakura to do about 3 or 4 years ago, the Japan Kamakura chapter invited me to do a demonstration for them. And it was set 1.5 years before. They work, Japanese are very correct. They work very neatly on time. Planned 1.5 years ago, place booked, tickets. The whole thing is done. Exactly 10 days before I was supposed to leave for Japan, I had a frozen shoulder. I could not move my right hand even a millimeter. Things happened. So, and I didn't want to cancel. I took steroid injections and I went in a cast. And I called them and I told them we missed a flight in between. Anyway, we reached there. And they did everything for me. I was there. The first time I did everything in a sling, completely with my left hand, with them telling me, cut this, clean that. They were so helpful. And then, of course, only the day I was demonstrating, I removed that thing. And with painkiller, managed to do the whole thing. And it was in a beautiful temple, nice, called the Engakuji temple. I think that experience of doing it in a Zen Buddhist temple with the Buddha behind was one of the best experiences I've had. It was such a beautiful feel. The temple was so good. It's just sheer luck and grace that you get the opportunity to do something like that it happened. And they have events in different places, but this time it was in that temple. So like that was a good experience. And once in Belgium, one of the invitations for the O'Hara chapters on 25th anniversary, they invited me. From the airport, from here, I took a flight to Bombay, then change flights, go to Brussels. From the airport, straight to the florist shop. So you go to the florist shop, and there it's about, say, -2 degrees. And I'm coming from a hot India like this. I'm picking flowers to choose, and no sleep, of course, but that's how you work. And my teeth are chattering. They were just making a noise like that. So this lady, my hostess, kept running to the car and bringing whatever clothes she had in the car, jacket, stole, shawl, sweater, and kept covering them on me because I needed to do the demo next day. So we went there, and the next day I get ready. I wear my sari for demos always, especially out of India. And I came down, and my hostess and the assistant, the other lady, came, and she just saw me. She looked at my midriff and my back, and she said, "Oh, you are naked." I said, "Well, this is not called naked in India. This is clothes, but you just have a little bit of the midriff." See, culturally, it was so different. And half the time she was looking at my dress and the sari, even though people you think are more exposed, they don't do it. But it was so surprising. So everywhere you go, you're also spreading a part of your culture. So, that was a nice incident, and it was a beautiful bed and breakfast place. We did the arrangement, went out for dinner. We came back, and both of us walked into the hostess's room. It's a bed and breakfast with 5 small rooms, a 150-year-old place. We walk into the room, and there's a young gentleman lying down on the bed. So, this was and we're just looking at him speechless, because a bed and breakfast, the hostess just leaves a note. Yours is room number so-and-so, and you just go choose your room. And this gentleman just came into that room. He thought that was his room, and he was lying down there. And then in front of him, we both were rolling over laughing because it was so hilly. He looked so shocked, and we looked so shocked. Silly experiences sometimes, but all kinds of, some silly, some fun. I mean, there have been millions of them. New Zealand, one demonstration. The demonstration came in the paper that I was doing it the previous day. And at the demonstration in the Botanical Park, an Indian couple, this is about 15, 20 years ago, Indian couple sitting right at the back, waited till the demonstration, came up and said, "We are so happy that Indians are doing so well in anything and something like this, and Indians were in the paper. Can you come home for dinner?" It's just random, but it's so heartwarming, how they feel. Yeah. So many incidents like that, but it's been lots of fun. And everywhere you've been able to spread your culture and, the love for nature, and spread Ikebana. So which is really nice. And what I do is called the O'Hara School, but every school is beautiful. It's so nice. Yeah. And about artists, I think one of the headmasters called, pardon me?
Experiences must be really priceless.
Yes, and there's so many more, but then that will take one other day. Like, so many little things like that, incidents. Okay, now you reminded me. One incident where I went to Taipei 2 or 3 years ago for a demonstration. And the lady there said, you can get maybe cut material, a little of it in a box, not roots and all that. So I took the entire material for the exhibition, the demonstration. I did a stage demonstration in a little cardboard box, cut, clean, spent 2 days, because I arrived at 5 in the evening and my demonstration was the next day morning at 10. And this box of things, and I land in Taipei, and I'm taking my bag out, and I see this little cute dog on a leash with some security people walk, and I'm walking towards it thinking, oh, such a cute dog. And that thing came straight, sat at my box with my material and wouldn't move. 5 Chinese policemen whisked me off into the room behind, opened up my suitcase, my bag, every stick, though nothing had a root, it was clean, there was dry. They looked at it, said no, threw everything out. At least they didn't put me in jail. I was happy. I believe you shouldn't get even a cut, leaf also. So I came out without anything in my hand, had to that evening gather material and prepare for a demo. So various things like that. And you asked about artists? Okay, yes. Sorry. So one Mr. Hu Nohara, he was one of the headmasters of the school, very innovative, very open-minded, very warm and very generous with his spreading of the Ikebana to people outside also. So I just like them. It's not that I want to emulate or compare with them, but it's just nice people to look up to, And there's a glass artist called Dale Chihuly. I saw some of his works in the US. He's an American. You'll see him with a little eye patch. And he does a lot of trees and flowers and colorful, beautiful glass hand-blown sculptures. And he's done a series on Ikebana also, actually. And in my son used to stay in an apartment when he was studying And that lobby was freshly redone, and they had these little sculptures of those glass flowers in the ceiling. So his was very nice. And there are many, like somebody called Frank Gehry, who also is an architect. And there's this, he does beautiful lines. He's US and he has beautiful lines in his buildings. And there was one Zaha Hadid, who's no more, but we had gone with some of the FLO past years. We went to Azerbaijan last year, and she had done a few buildings there. They have just beautiful flowing lines. Reminds you of a river flowing or a stream, just those huge, lovely long lines. So some of the artists who've impressed me and I like. So that's some of them.
I mean, artists working with glass is equally fragile material as flowers.
Yes, yes, it is. It is.
I'm jumping to another topic completely, Rekha. From art to leading FLO, how did it happen? And how did you make it work? And what did you learn from it?
FLO happened when FLO started initially in Hyderabad. I think one of our friends, Shanti, they were all involved in it, and they said, we're starting this organization, why don't you be members? So we just joined in. It was more, we didn't realize the far-sightedness of FLO, what it was then. We just joined in because a group of friends joined in. It sounded interesting, sounded like something that we can work on. At that point of time, I was nowhere close to being an entrepreneur. Not that I am now sometimes also, but you are there at it and you realize what it can do. So I was just following more my art. So I was a member since the beginning, but not really active in the organization as in the running of the organization. So once I was in Mumbai with a demonstration and I had a gap between my demonstration and the workshop. So I was sitting and waiting for the workshop to start, and my phone, I just checked my phone. There were some calls from a couple of friends in Hyderabad. So I just called back and they said, we're all talking about FLO and we were thinking in the next couple of years, we want to have you as a chairperson. That means you get in the committee, you be vice chairperson, you get on. So that was very, very surprising. So I didn't think I had it in me at that point to head an organization, but I said, are you sure? Because I'm not business minded. And even till today, I don't think I'm business minded. When I became FLO chairperson, I think my husband was extremely tickled. He said, I can't believe you are heading a women entrepreneur organization. Well, things happen. How did they ever do that? So they asked me and I was hesitant. And I said, I don't know what it'll involve, how much time. They said, I'm sure you can handle it. It'll be easy, not to worry. So I did get in and I was there. And then I was vice chair and then became, chairperson. And then I took over after Pinky. And that I told Pinky, I said, that is a very wrong thing. Never step in after Pinky. Before is okay. Okay. So after her term, then getting onto it, stepping into those shoes. But everybody was so cooperative. I had such a good team. From the past chair, Pinky was helping. I think Jyotsna was my vice chair. You were my treasurer. I had Madhavi, and then we had Priyanka, and Padma and Suma. The team was so good. That's what made it easy. When you have a good team helping you, we never had this many subcommittees or anything like that. It was much smaller. Luckily, it was way back in 2012, so I could handle it. I don't think I can handle it now, Usha. The number of programs you're having, your initiatives, wonderful work. Our work was much less then, definitely much less. So it seemed easier and such a good team. Needless to say, like accounts, I didn't have to look again, you were there. Program being organized, Priyanka was there, I knew she would take care of everything. I trusted them and they did a great job. Everybody helped, the members were cooperative. So it happened really well, and the programs went off very well. We had to manage time between house and Ikebana and that a little bit. So you learn to adjust, you learn to make time, and certain stressful moments are there with speakers. And then, in fact, once there was an Ikebana event in Delhi, an international event. It was a 4-day event. I registered, I had to go. And one of the Buddhist scholar gave his time only in the middle of that event, 23rd. I had to come back that day in the morning from Delhi, go back in the evening again for my program after this program. But it was worth it. It was a good program and he spoke very well. And, so those things happened, but we managed. And you learn so much from the organization by handling. So I've headed other organizations earlier, the Ikebana International Harai, for a few years at a time. But this was a different thing. And you can do so much and you can learn so much. It's both. And every chairperson, I think, has done more and more. Each chairperson does one step more. And now what they're doing now, I don't think I did then, I couldn't have done then. So it's been a very good journey where it's learning and you're able to help so many young entrepreneurs come up. So it's a very satisfying feeling when you're able to do that.
Yeah, I must say that being in an organization like FLO teaches one so much about time management, teamwork, sharing responsibilities and results, stepping out of our comfort zone. And each one of us here is an achiever in her own right. But FLO teaches the value of coming together to live a shared vision. So that is the beauty of FLO. Uh, what is your definition of success? Are success and happiness two sides of the same coin?
Success, I think, would mean basically happiness. If you're happy, you are successful. If you succeed in staying happy, I think that is success. And also being content. See what you've done, whether the job or your work or your life at home or life outside is successful. I think if you end at the end of the day, you're reasonably happy, you're content, that is success. Otherwise, any amount of success really doesn't matter. So if it's a coin and something that you have to flip and you have success on one side and happiness on one side, I think everybody would choose the happiness part. But if you look at the coin as a whole, the coin is something valuable, the whole thing. And on that, there is success, there is happiness, there's everything, and it keeps flipping, turning over. Then you can have them and you can make yourself happy by not necessarily being successful in what you wanted to do only. That is, if you're being rigid, then you'll have issues. Because we have a goal, but if that goal can't be reached, or you have a via media goal, or you have another path to that goal, or you have set a different, because this goal is not reachable, it doesn't mean, it shouldn't make it automatically unhappy. You set a similar goal or a different goal which is more accessible to you and which you will equally enjoy, and you're doing that, that means you're successful and you're happy. So it all depends on how you view it. But I think just being content and happy and adjusting in different areas and doing what you like we are fortunate to be there. Right?
To be honest, my reason for asking that question is purely selfish. I want to understand how successful people do it so that I can derive from their experience in creating my own.
Lot of luck also, Usha.
Grateful to you, Rekha, for those great tips.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My next question is, what keeps you awake at night?
Right now, the first thing that comes to my mind is grandchildren. I have them like crawling all over me. I'll have an elbow in my nose and then have one foot on my mouth. So that's that. Okay. Apart from that, occasionally maybe stress. Something happening. Like for the first time last night, the Wi-Fi just decided it's going to disappear from the house, the entire street. So for the first time in a long time, I was a little worried and I couldn't sleep for a point. But that's my day. But main things, I come awake at night and stay up. I think I seem to get all my ideas in the middle of the night somehow, or late night. I'm just lying down, falling asleep, or I come away to something, and suddenly this bright idea about this container, and if I use that branch and I do that theme, and that would look so good, and I'm so excited I can't sleep at night. Which is like, I say, okay, there's enough daytime to do all that. When I sleep, I should concentrate on sleeping. But lots of times ideas come up in the middle of the night. Sometimes I forget them when I get up in the morning. So then my mother said, keep a book and pen next to you. When you get up, just scratch the idea, scribble it out, and you go back asleep again. But sometimes ideas do keep me awake a lot. And then because you're so excited and the mind is racing to do, you can't wait to do that. You want to get up in the morning and do that. That's where I think that Ikigai comes in, but we'll talk about that later.
So that means restless minds are the most creative ones. I read somewhere that an adventurous heart will always seek out new paths, even through old doorways.
That is true. They will.
Lastly, what advice do you have for us at FLO about staying motivated, especially in these times?
Yeah, especially in these times and in general also, I think basically if you remember that our life is our canvas. So you can paint or draw what you want on it and do it. There are many times that the canvas already comes scratched, painted with something which is always there. but you have to choose a different side of the canvas, a different part of the canvas, or move on those lines to make it look pretty. So the same way is even now later, whether it's at work, it's basically at work and at home. So both these, if you do, paint it your own way, that's really nice. And also it's like, you must remember that this time is giving you new avenues. We have a lot of things shut down in lockdown mode. Jobs are difficult. There's a lot of stress. But at the same time, it's opening up avenues. I've never enjoyed online things. I never thought we'll do this online. And I thought that'll be crazy, but I'm thoroughly enjoying being at home. I'm doing even more demonstrations now because people from other cities and other countries say, oh, it's online, you don't have to come. You can just sit at home and do it. So, different avenues open up. And I never thought of teaching. Now I'm teaching online. It's so easy. It's not easy to teach art online, but I'm enjoying it thoroughly. It gives us something to do. You have a different avenue. One of the students is from Chennai, and then she doesn't have time to go to a class because she has some very, older people at home who need constant attention. She has been so happy because it's online, and then, she can just take that 45-minute break from her difficult routine and spend time with flowers and nature. It makes you feel so good. See, that's an avenue that opened up. So all of us will find avenues. And difficult times are there. You must just remember that this too shall pass. You have to constantly motivate yourself. And there's always light at the end of the tunnel and something to look forward to in life always.
Yeah, I totally agree, Rekha. Our life is our artwork and our own masterpiece. And we have the power to redo it any number of times.
Yes, some have to do it with difficulty, some easier, but then I'm sure we can do it.
Yeah. Of course, crises come and go, but what keeps us going is our self-belief. That's what I'm doing it.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you, Rekha, for that wonderful candid interaction. We couldn't have hoped for a better start to our Game Changer series.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Usha. I must thank you. And thank you also for having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And all the past years too.
Yeah, celebration of life itself. And you gave us more than a glimpse of what makes you Rekha Reddy.
Thank you so much, Usha.
And I hope all those watching too will take back something of value today.
Thank you
At
so
this
much.
point, yeah, thank you so much. At this point, I would like to welcome our guest of honor, Mizuho Hayakawa, Director of Japan Information Center and Counselor, PR and Culture, Embassy of Japan in India. I request you to say a few words, Hayakawa-san.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mizuho Hayakawa. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. First of all, I'm Mizuho Hayakawa. I'm a director of Japan Information Center, Embassy of Japan in New Delhi. And first of all, I would like to say thank you. I'm so grateful for having me here today, and then I would like to say congratulations for everybody to be part of this event, for holding such interesting and with some challenge event and challenging event, and I don't practice flower Ikebana, but I really like appreciating this beautiful artworks. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the demonstration this afternoon. And thank you very much.
Thank you. It was so grateful of Indo-Japan Friendship Forum for joining hands with us for this event. And now it's time for the live demonstration wherein Rekha will blend the artistic simplicity of Ikebana with the simplistic philosophy of Ikigai for the first time ever for FLO. Thank you, Rekha, and thank you, everyone. Over to Priya now.
Thank you, Usha. I will request the IT team to first play the felicitation slides before we move on. Thank you, Pranay. While Rekha sets up her demo table, let's see some of her previous works. Can we have the transition slides, please? Welcome back, Rekha.
Thank you, Priya.
So it's over to you now for the demonstration.
Thank you so much.
Our
Thank you, everybody.
Our IT team was on standby, so you can ask for your slides and they'll help you.
Sure, sure. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Before I start, I wanted to tell you a little bit. I'm kind of talking about Ikebana and Ikigai today. So, and I'll be showing you the arrangements in between. Can we have the next slide, please, Pranay? So there's certain Japanese terms and traditions. So what I've heard of, some of them, I'm going to say which are like the eyes. The most important for me here, Ikebana, of course, which is a Japanese traditional art. You have Ikigai, which is a Japanese traditional ideology. It's an ancient ideology. Then you have the Ichigo, which is a Japanese cultural concept. Ikebana, we make nature live in the vase. You bring nature indoors. Ikigai, Iki also means, again, to live. Ikigai means to have a purpose in life or a reason to live. It's a very loose translation. And Ichigo Ichie it happens only at one moment at that time. It's a once in a lifetime. All these are loose translations. This is a Japanese cultural concept. So all these, I'm telling you, we have our own concepts in our philosophy, which are also equally interesting. But these have a special reference now because I am doing the Ikebana. So these are the little terms for you to be familiar with, and it's nice when you see them. We have a couple of other terms. Can we have the next slide, please? There's something called wabi-sabi, which another thing I love. I have a book on wabi-sabi, which is you see beauty in imperfection, in something impermanent, in something that's incomplete. That means you're accepting the transient. Life moves on, everything changes. Things that are born will eventually end. So it's also a sense of Japanese traditional aesthetics. When we talk about Kaizen, that is also something that is changing, where you change for the better. It's a Japanese business philosophy. It talks about continuous improvement, especially in your workplace. It's a process that improves operations, involves all employees in your workplace. In fact, we even had a workshop on only Kaizen management techniques about 7 or 8 years ago. I don't know if you remember, we had a holidays workshop, because the techniques they use are a different way, and they'll help you at your workplace also. So these are a few of these Japanese terms. So what I'm going to show you now, I'll show you the first arrangement, which you had seen next to me. So if you can spotlight on the arrangement now. In this arrangement, I've used a glass vase. It's shaped like a cactus plant, if you notice. I think if I could have the spotlight, please, then I can see it. So this is a cactus. It's a vase in the shape of a cactus, if you can see. And I chose this vase, and I chose material, which is a euphorbia, which is a cactus kind of material. I had this sitting next to me, so it doesn't look bare. But I based it, the Ikebana I do is based on the Ohara school. Like I said, all schools are absolutely beautiful. I mean, any kind of flower arrangement. We follow the Ohara school in that a little more, and we have the headquarters again in Tokyo. And this is based on something called a rising form of the Ohara school. So I've used the euphorbia. I've removed a lot of the leaves. So when you see a thorny plant, and you imagine a cactus and you keep them at a distance, but they are as beautiful, and they have their, even though they're little thorns even have their own beauty. So I've placed 3 stems, always as in accordance to Ikebana lines in different heights and angles. I have like a subject area, I have an object area, and I have fillers. So a cactus material going with a cactus kind of a vase, you can match them. Now, along with this is also a kind of a succulent variety, which is called the pedilanthus, or we call it the hedge plant, a variegated hedge plant, which I had used, and you just have them very beautifully as fillers. If you see how wonderfully the color is set off because of the white in the leaves. Variegated leaves always have their own beauty. So these are little 2 fillers. Now, because I was talking about the different concepts, I was talking about wabi-sabi. I have a dry bamboo leaf here, which just fell off the bamboo tree, and I just picked it up. I have a couple of dry leaves. So wabi-sabi, so this is not, you can't call it beautiful, but it has beautiful lines. It depends on how you view it. So I can use this as part of my fillers instead of the fresh leaf, just to show you how we do the effect of a wabi-sabi effect. Maybe I just have a filler at the back, just showing off a little bit of brown. I have another filler here, the same bamboo dry leaf, and I can have it out on one side, coming out like that. So you can put in dry leaves because you're showing off the beauty of material which is impermanent, drying. Even sometimes they have strange twists and turns, and you think they're not suitable for any arrangement, but they have a lot of potential. So it's so nice that you see potential in everything. And when you see potential in this, you see potential in other things too. It's not only in Ikebana. It could be in anything in your workforce, workplace, little touch there. So this is bringing out the wabi-sabi element in it, and having a rising form arrangement, a cactus-shaped glass vase, and I put the cactus, the euphorbia plant, everything developed, and the element of wabi-sabi in it. Thank you. Moving on to the next slide. Can we have the next slide, please? So now this is, Ikigai. So many of you might have heard of Ikigai. I am no expert in Ikigai. I've just been hearing it, sometimes reading about it. So everything I talk about Ikigai is obviously borrowed from whoever's been researching it. I haven't done research on Ikigai myself, but Ikigai is a Japanese concept. Iki means life, and Gai means of value or or worth or worthwhile. So in the Ikebana part also, Ike or Ikeru is to live. And Hana means flowers. So when you combine Ike and Hana, it turns out as Ikebana. Ikigai is again life or to live, and Gai is of value or worth. So it's making life worthwhile. That is what it is. The term came about in the Heian period, which is almost like 14 or 1500 years ago. What a lot of us know and hear about is this little bestseller, this book. I don't know if many of you have seen it. It's on Ikigai. It's a Japanese secret to a long and happy life. So it's a very popular book. In fact, one of the authors had a program for another flow chapter here also. So it's very, very interesting. This was written by Hector Garcia and Francesco Melale, as you see in the last line. But before that, many people have worked and researched that. One of them is Professor Hasegawa, who is actually a clinical psychologist and in a university in Japan. And he wrote some papers as long as 20 years ago. So he has his take on it also. And many of his works are based on research by, again, Mrs. Meiko Kamiya, who is actually a psychiatrist, a doctor. And she wrote a book almost in around the 1960s, in 65 or 66. So some of his concepts are from her thing. So they've done, a lot of people have done research in Ikigai. Can I have the next slide, please? So what exactly is Ikigai? Ikigai loosely translates as a reason for being, a purpose in life, a direction to our day, a meaning of life, a reason to live, making life worthwhile. It's all the same terms rehashed. So everybody who's said it is said in different words. And a lot of what I am saying also is from these books about Ikigai and Professor Hasegawa's talk. I've picked up things from them also to learn, so to give you an understanding of what is Ikigai. So these are all the things. So when the day starts, you are happy, you are up and about you. There's something to do, something to look forward to, something to live for. There's so much beauty outside and you want to capture it. There's so much opportunity outside and you want to make use of it. So that is what Ikigai loosely translates as. So at this point, I'm going to show you my second arrangement. So this arrangement, I'm using there's some canna flowers, and this is lockdown time. I haven't bought any flowers from the florist shop. All the flowers I'm using are homegrown. This particular one is from my friend's garden. And it's her 60th birthday today, and she's given me a present. So I'm just using canna flowers as the canna branches. And normally we always make the last cut underwater so that air bubbles don't go and block the holes. So if this is my leaf, I have one there, and I'm going to put another flower on the other side. Just a little, like something like what we call a one row form. There's a little tired, maybe. Let's try this one. So on these canna leaves, I'm basing this on a kind of a one row style of the Ohara school. And on the other side, I had one yellow, which is looking a little tired. I'm going to remove one leaf. And if the flower is wilting, I can just leave the bud also. It doesn't matter. We can just have the bud showing a tip of a little bit of yellow on one side. And I have to make this shorter because in Ikebana we observe and imitate nature, and no two are made of the same height. So I'm having one little yellow on this side. And of course, we need support of leaves along with it. So this one, I wanted to say, like when we say this, you need, like I said in the last slide, we have a reason, we have to reason for being or a reason to live. Getting up and seeing these things in nature makes me, go ahead with the day and go on with what we need to do. And also these, I always reminded me, now these are all our pastures, all of them, each of them. The ones who came before me, strong, supporting the chapter so well. So this is for all the past chairs, I think. They've been doing such a good job, and they're so, so loyal to flow, and they do so much work when it's a flow related activity. It's quite amazing. So I'm doing this one, and I'm going to use a smaller leaf. Coming out like that. And I have, I'm going to put a little greenery at the base. I have these lovely, very light colored, nice golden melaleuca. So I'm going to use these. Just a touch there. And the last thing I'm going to keep is again a touch of the yellow flowers, the yellow Caesalpinia, to give it a little color. The yellow needs company here, so I'm putting a touch of yellow here. We have another yellow with a beautiful berry. So we show off all these little things in nature. So we have a little berry, then we will show off the berry also. A small one on there. This is a simple, very simple one row form arrangement where I have used the canna flowers, some of the golden melaleuca, and a bit of the Caesalpinia, yellow Caesalpinia, to bring out the color. And this is, I think, for all the past chairs standing upright, straight, and strong for them. If you want, I can move aside for you to have a look at what it looks like. So the next slide, please. Can I have the next slide? Here you see the Ikigai chart. And this is what is there. It's been there with many people have interpreted that in different ways. And it's basically how you, if you like something, you love something with a passion, and that becomes your mission in life, and you make it your vocation and finally your profession. So this is what it is. I'll explain to the next slide. Next slide, please. Can we have the next slide? So where and when do you find Ikigai? So according to Garcia and Miralles, it's the point where the components of life, of passion, mission, vocation, profession all unite. So when you what you love, like for suppose like for me it's Ikebana, and it's also what I'm good at, and it's valued all over, and then if I get paid for it also, then you've reached your Ikigai. But then Professor Hasegawa, in his thing, it's similar, but he says it's more the individual awareness that drives one to live daily. And you live with a sense of moving forward. He was not sure about the getting paid for part of it is not part of the original concept, he says. So the different ways of how they interpret the same thing. So the important thing is living with a sense of moving forward. So at this point, my next arrangement. So just to show that, I have this little Syngonium vines. And this is where I'm going to just show you arrangement where the material is moving out, think of it moving forward. So I've just taken from that line and have this as if it is your life moving forward. Okay. It's based on an inclining form arrangement where that is the subject. So I have a little one more line going along with it as a filler. And I have this very fragrant, it's called the Mysore Manne, which is a bloom in the garden. I love this. It's a very lovely fragrance, and they come out in little bunches like this. I'm going to use this as a little object in the front. And we fill it up with a couple of tall fillers. You can have one filler there. I have a little white, simple arrangement with a sense of moving forward, and the white for something very beautiful, light, and lovely in your head. Sense of white always gives you the sense of being light and beautiful. So this is a small filler here, and this is a very, very simple arrangement with you giving you a sense of moving forward. The next slide we have, can we have the next slide, please? The concept of Ikigai, what can you use it for? So that's something important. The concept of Ikigai, you can use it because that will make you wake up each day and enjoy your day and do whatever you want to do. It also makes you take pleasure in the activities that you do daily. Good for your mental well-being. It also becomes a path to your true self. It gives you constant motivation in life. And also it says longevity, that it lengthens your lifespan. You can use the concept of Ikigai for doing that also. So in this, when you wake up each day, for me, I get up in the morning and you see things in the garden. I just think of it in the morning and I'm jumping out of bed. So I enjoy my daily activity. So this arrangement that I'm going to do now, let me show you the arrangement here. So in this arrangement, I have a container here. And like I said, I jumped out of bed in the morning yesterday because I remembered this in the garden. And this is an ornamental banana flower, and it has little baby bananas also here. So I'm going to use this in the container. I'm going to use a pin holder in this because it's very heavy. So just showing off the beauty of this lovely banana flower. You can see the banana with that. And as a base to the whole arrangement, you can even have a leaf sometimes. When you have the arrangement, as a base to the whole thing, it looks so pretty when you put it on a banana leaf. Let me do that. That's a little base. So in this, I'm just going to add some leaves to support the banana stem. It's based on something called the Bunjan style arrangement. And I had these berries of a kind of palm tree. This looks so nice and bright, so I'm going to put some berries into this. Just place them. They're kind of heavy, so it'll take a while for it to fit in there. Just a few berries there in that. And the last thing I'm going to add, I have the flower of the aloe vera. So I can put in one more little leaf. Wabi-sabi element, it's drying, it's a little bit white, yellow being seen, but it has its own beauty. The lower part is stone, which I removed, but you can use that as a little filler area. It gives a beautiful touch of yellow to the arrangement there. And a little of the aloe vera. Flower, because all a shade of lovely orange there. Okay, that is the arrangement. Based on a Bunjin style arrangement. And then we have, can we have the next slide, please, where I have the last arrangement. These I call Ikigai facilitators. And these are what will help you reach your Ikigai. So what will help you reach your Ikigai is, my main thing is reconnect with nature. Then these are all the points which various people have found. It's nothing to do with what's not what I did, but what various people have found. You reconnect with nature. You always eat. You always eat a little less than when you're full. My nutrition professor is telling me always eat 10% less. Don't wait till you get full. Then staying connected with people. Keep the company of positive people. Positive people will give you positive vibes. And then you must be very resilient. It's nice. It makes life for you easier, apart from the others. So you have to be very resilient. Also have an attitude of gratitude. So nice when you realize how lucky we are in so many things, and we've come out for so much. That always is very nice. Then you live in the moment. Okay, that's that. We have that live in the moment in all philosophies, not only in Japanese philosophy. Live in the moment. You should move things. You go ahead slow, but you go ahead steady. And very important, what they say is, as you stay active as you get older. It doesn't mean getting older doesn't mean you have to slow down at everything. Stay as active as possible. Steadily, but please stay as active as possible, even as you get older. They say in Japan, in Okinawa, they have the oldest living population. So we were there for the last Ikebana World Conference was in Okinawa. It happened to be there. It was a lovely experience, and then we saw a lot of people and what they were doing there and the way they were living. So you grow old, but you must stay active. So at this point, I'll show you my last arrangement. Can you have the light on the arrangement, please? Yeah, the last arrangement. I've chosen it's called a gourd vase. The little gourds. Some of the gourds are shaped like that. So I'm using the gourd vase. In the gourd vase, this is the last point of getting old, but staying active. So I've used a white vase. I'm going to use white grass material. It reminds me of something older, isn't it? White hair, older people. So I'm just putting these lovely things which a friend bought for me when she traveled. She found these and she said that I might use them for Ikebana. So I have all these friends who drop off interesting things for me. It has a very, very narrow mouth. So I'm just putting very natural way. It reminds you of old age, longevity, but it does not mean that you have to slow down. So we have this, and along with this, what I can do is, I'm just going to put, you have a choice. I have these in the garden. You can put beautiful bright red Ixora flowers. It goes well with the obe also, Japanese obe, which I'm hanging here, or a very delicate touch of a little bit of a pink for a change. So I can do that. So what I'm going to do is maybe I'm going to put the pink pentas coming out in the front. Then different heights and angles, and I put another one. Here, or maybe, yeah, I think that looks better. Really low one. The computer is looking like a little mirror for me now. I'm happily looking at what I'm doing there. So a little touch here, forming a little triangle. So that is just a very simple rising kind of arrangement. Even the base, I've used a dull brown because the whole effect of growing older, but growing older gracefully, but not slowing down either. And because longevity and lifespan we associate many times with people of Okinawa or in other places. In Okinawa, I noticed they eat a lot of the goya, the ridge gourd. So I found some strange little twisted pieces. So I'm going to put that as an accessory. They even make chopsticks with the shape of cut goya and all that. So I'm just going to put in 1 or 2 of this as a little under this. So you can see the vertical. That's supposed to be one of the reasons why they say healthy. This one, the seaweed, and maybe I can have a little gold flowing down here. There you can see that for now, a little gold down here, and this. This is the final arrangement depicting the longevity also of people and how they have their Ikigai and they stay on and enjoy life so much more. And the last slide, just to sum it up. This is also again from the book by Garcia and Mirale. I've taken this line because it's about art also. There are many people of advanced age who offer us inspiration and ideas for bringing energy and meaning to our lives. Artists, for example, carry the torch of their Ikigai instead of retiring. They have this power. And art in all forms is an Ikigai that can bring happiness, purpose to our days. Enjoying or creating beauty is free and something all humans have access to. Thank you so much. I think in the practice and pursuit of Ikigai, of Ikebana, I have found my Ikigai, and may you all find yours soon. Thank you so much, Usha, and the whole team for arranging this. It's been a real pleasure talking to you and showing a little bit of Ikebana with the team of Ikigai. It's been a wonderful day, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
It's our pleasure. I mean, having you is, it's really a pleasure for us, for the Hyderabad chapter.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rekha. It has been wonderful working alongside you. And you have so subtly expanded our appreciation of beauty. You have made us realize that the whole universe is contained within a single flower, that one small thing can open up our minds to so much more. Thank you so much once again. And Usha, you so artfully revealed that it doesn't take crores of rupees, a successful father, or access to a Mantriji to contribute in a significant way. We can do amazing things from where we are right now. Thanks so much to both of you. Moving on, we have a couple of questions in our chat box. Rekha, I'll just read them out.
Sure.
Ritu Das is asking, what are you using as base to hold the stems in place?
In the tall vase, we don't have anything at all. In the tall vases, they're kind of balanced and support each other. But in the other vases, we have pin holders, a metal pin holder into which you fix the leaves and the flowers. Tall vases, they stay with you, balance them on each other. So we would do it much at a later phase usually, actually. So there are various kinds of pillow. You can use floral foam, pin holders, many other things.
Geetanjali Kapoor wants to know, which is the best place in Delhi to learn Ikebana? I'm getting really inspired.
I'll tell her, I'll give her a list of numbers she can get in touch with. Just let her you can put up my number in the chat. So I'll give her 2 or 3 numbers. So whichever area she's staying close to, there are a lot of people teaching and she can go and learn from them. There are lots of teachers there.
Gayatri wants to know, what's the soil composition? How is it different from other flower settings?
Pardon me?
Soil composition, is it different from other settings, other flower settings?
No, there's nothing to do with soil composition. We're using cut leaves and flowers into the arrangement. But any garden flowers, you need the garden composition. Gardening is a different aspect, actually. So the gardening, you have your proportion of, you have your manure, you have your red soil, you have your sand, which is the same. Succulents, you'll have put in more sand. The flowering ones, you'll put in a little more manure. So that is different when gardening. Whatever is good for that particular plant, use those gardening techniques. When it comes to arranging flowers, we cut the leaves and flowers and arrange them in your container. So that is the same, but those have different treatments. Like, for example, cutting them early, the milky stems, you char them on a flame. They have different treatments for them to last much longer in the container.
Thank you, Rekha. As it came up in the conversation earlier, art holds the power to help treat depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, ADHD, and other mental health issues. As you all know, we have launched just last month our initiative, Reach Out. We would like to play the theme song, please, which we will all our past chairpersons. IT team, can we have the song?
If you're living in a house of stone, hidden in the shadows of gloom, waking up to the alarm of a silent weeping soul, remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you. Raise your face to the sun again. Nothing but misery for company, and you can't go on no more. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you walk in your life again. If the song inside you is an endless scream, and your days are filled with lonely nights, remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you dance to your breath again. Be a lifeline, become the sun, bloom as a rainbow. Be a soft guiding light, and reach out, and reach out. When you feel you've walked 1,000 steps with nothing but misery for company, and you can't go on no more. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you walk in your life again. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody.
Thank you, Pranay. Now I'll hand you over to Uma Chigurupati, our Senior Vice Chairperson, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Namaste. Floral wishes to one and all. When you look deep into the nature, everything looks beautiful. Nothing is perfect and everything is perfect. Nature is beautiful because it is alive. When you bring that nature into your home, you feel rejuvenated. It gives vibrant energy to its surroundings. Ikebana is recreating the nature in our houses. This art is therapeutic, especially in these stressful times. It's a wonderful medicine. Rekha, what do you want me to tell? You know, at this juncture, I have to mention that my journey of Ikebana has started 24 years. Today morning only, I was recollecting, it has started 24 years back with you. Thank you so much for explaining your life philosophy and showing these beautiful and poetic expressions of Hana. Each and every arrangement, simple yet gorgeous. Thank you so much. I thank Mizuho Hayakawa, Director of Japan Information Center, Counselor for PR and Culture, Embassy of Japan in India, for gracing this program. I also thank Indo-Japan Friendship Forum for associating with FLO Hyderabad for this event. I thank our gold sponsors, Coleman Group and RBC Worldwide, our branding partners. I thank the IT team for the technical support and all the fellow committee members who are behind the scenes for bringing out this beautiful program. Floral felicitations to all our past chairs who are our pillars of strength. I thank all the fellow FLO members pan-India, media, and all the viewers of today's program for being with us. I'm sure all of you are going to practice this simple yet beautiful art at home and make your homes and hearts lively and happy. Remember the Kaizen theory? Change for better will happen soon. Stay happy, stay safe. Namaste.
Thank you, Uma. Before we close, just to remind everybody again, can we have a closing slides, please? As our slides revealed, we have 3 back-to-back events, ladies, on 1st, 4th, and 7th. So please mark your diaries. See you soon. Have a happy and safe weekend. Namaste.